African. Truly,
he has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer and the champion of liberty, of human equality. Let's salute him.
Well, we apologize for our lateness this morning, but it's my pleasure to welcome you to the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. We are live from the studios of Pan-African Television in Abelinkpe. We are also live on several affiliates across the country. I understand we have a new affiliate in Yendi, in the northern region, and we are thankful to that new partner for joining us. I'm still waiting for the details, though, because the man called me somewhere Saturday, and I still haven't received the details of a radio station and the frequency. But a good morning to our partners in Yendi, and also to our partners in Ho Global FM 105.1, Shine FM in Akachi, Diamond FM in Tamale, among the several other partners that are tuning to us this morning. In the Greater Accra region, if you want to listen to us on radio, we are on Ahunto 92.3 FM. We are big on Facebook, Pan-African Television, spelled out in full, Pan-African Television. You can watch us there. Share your comments with us. Don't forget, this show is very big on your comments. We consider your comments as a very important part of the show. So we'll read your comments as we proceed. There are two ways you can do that. If you're on Facebook, just share your comments using the comment section. I'll read it. And if you are watching us through television, a number will be displayed on the screen through which you can send your messages, WhatsApp messages, and also text messages. You can send those to that number, and then I'll read it. My name is Sena Nombo. Once again, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. Here, we say it as it is, no matter who is involved. In the end, we'll leave you better educated. There's something I'm observing on the streets. I don't know whether COVID is still with us. I'm a little confused whenever I walk around my community. It's like a lot of people have just gotten to the point where they've decided that there's nothing going on. They haven't seen anything as yet. So people are no more wearing the mask as they used to do. People are no more following the protocols as they used to. Well, perhaps for the sake of a reminder, in case you do not know, it is not as if we have recorded 0 infections at any point in time in a while. So let me take you through what the Ghana Health Service is saying the current case update in terms of Ghana is. Because as of yesterday, I think the tweet alert I got was about 356 cases yesterday in the evening. And you know, some days the updates that come, they come twice on 2 different occasions in the day. Okay, so actually 359 new cases were recorded yesterday. 182 deaths as we speak. 182 persons have died from COVID-19. And we're looking at 35,501 confirmed cases in total since we started recording cases. But do not forget that that is not a proper and true reflection of the situation as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Not even the most advanced of countries have been able to get a proper, accurate reflection of what their COVID-19 status is. So the fact that it may look a bit smaller compared to some of the people, but even within the African continent, we are doing terribly. So please take note. Very important. Follow the protocols. Hand washing regularly. And don't forget to always wear the mask. It's very, 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 very important. But one of the bigger issues this week has had to do with the issue of the Auditor General. The Auditor General was locked out of his office. It was admitted by the Audit Service Chairman, Board Chairman, that it was intentional, that it was planned. Because he had come there, he had to pick some letterhead among others. They didn't want it to repeat itself. So they locked up the place to ensure it is secure. Now, there is a statement coming from an institution, International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions, to which the Ghana Audit Service is a member. And they have issued a statement talking about the issue. And I'm jumping to several paragraphs. And let me jump to the part where it says that the Audit Service of Ghana is a member of the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions, of the African Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions, and the African Organization of English-Speaking Supreme Audit Institutions. It continues, the recent decision by the President to place the Auditor General of Ghana on forced administrative leave for 167 days, which was accompanied by a direction to hand over all matters related to his office to one of his deputy Auditor Generals. And the statement continues. The Intosai Development Initiative has decided to bring to the attention of the relevant decision makers and the general public that it, 1, expresses concern over recent events surrounding the Ghana Audit Service and the potential negative effects this event can have on its independence, as encapsulated in the Constitution of Ghana, the Audit Service Act, and as supported by the Lima and Mexico Declarations and UN Resolutions A66209 and also A69228, calls on all parties to ensure, quote, the Auditor General shall not be subject to the direction or control of any other person or authority, as stated in Section 7A of Article 187 of the Constitution of Ghana, and which is consistent with Principle 1 of the Mexico Declaration, which calls for the existence of appropriate and effective constitutional statutory legal framework and of de facto application provisions of this framework. 3, encourages all parties to consider Principle 8 of the Mexico Declaration, stating that SAIs should have financial and managerial administrative autonomy and availability of appropriate human, material, and monetary resources, end quote. SAIs should have available the necessary and reasonable human, material, and monetary resources. The executive should not control or direct the access to these resources. 4, considers the conditions for appointment and removal of the Auditor General as critical for an independent Supreme Audit Institution. 5, encourages all parties to take fully into account Principle 2 of the Mexico Declaration, which calls for the independence of SAI heads and members of collegial institutions, including security of tenure and legal immunity in the normal discharge of their duties, end quote. As the declaration further elaborates under Principle 2, the applicable legislation is expected to specify the conditions for appointments, reappointments, employment, removal, and retirement of the head of SAI and members of collegial institutions who are A, appointed, reappointed, or moved by a process that ensures their independence from the executive. B, given appointment with sufficiently long and fixed terms to allow them to carry out their mandates without fear of retaliation. 6, reaffirms its strong commitment to initiate and to support all possible actions intended at advocating for the independence of SAIs as supported by the principles recorded in the Lima and Mexico Declarations. And 7, formulates the wish that any future institutional developments in Ghana will be an opportunity, thanks to the determination of the competent authorities in Ghana and the support of its stakeholders, to endow the Ghana Audit Service with institutional, organizational, and professional capacities, enabling it to accomplish the mission effectively in order to create value and benefit for the citizens of Ghana. So they are expressing concern about the development that we are seeing, starting from the leave and what we are hearing subsequently. Don't forget that matter, portions of it are in court. There's a point where some civil society organizations attempted to stop the Deputy Auditor General from acting in the stead of the Auditor General during his leave. The court disagreed with that, but on some technical basis. Now, we will move on to the issues that we are discussing pretty shortly. But first, let me introduce my panel for today. Dr. David Percy is a student of history and politics. Kojo Mwafo is a former chief executive of the Ghana Free Zones Board. Margaret Anse, popularly known as Margot, is a deputy campaign spokesperson for the National Democratic Congress. And then today we are joined by, I have to look at the name very carefully, Dr. Mohammed Mazouk Abubakar. His face is popular on this network. Dr. Mohammed Mazouk Abubakar, who is a lecturer at the University of Applied Management, for the discussion today. When I come back, I'll introduce my topic and then we'll start the discussion. My name is Sena Nombo once again. We are back shortly after this break. Stick and stay.
Hello, what are you doing Tuesday to Friday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. every day. You should be watching The Couch. I'll tell you why. On Tuesdays, we talk social issues, lifestyle, health, all those everyday issues that affect us in the big ways. Wednesdays are for book reviews. Thursdays are for the hard talk, those socio-economic, policy-oriented, political questions that demand for the tough questions to be asked. And personality profiling Fridays, when we get to know the stories behind the winning personalities we love. Inspirational story from inspirational personalities. Hey, listen, you really cannot miss The Couch with me, Amma, but still the only TV show with a hat.
Morning is an important time of the day because how you spend your morning can often tell you what kind of day you're going to have. I want you to have a great day. So start your day with me because I can guarantee a great show every weekday on Good Morning Africa right here on Pan-African Television. I will be serving some inspiration, news, business, health, newspaper review, music, and so much more. Join me, Kwame Owusu Danso on Good Morning Africa on Pan-African Television. Let's have a truly African morning. Medasi.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the
Welcome
land
back
of
from
freedom.
that break. If you just joined us, the Mother World Talk Shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. My name is Sena Nombo. Very important. Keep sending in those messages. If you want to listen to radio in Accra, tune in to Ahunto 92.3 FM. They are our major radio partners. They are based here in the Greater Accra region, so you can tune in to them. Also, we are live on Facebook already, so tune in and share your thoughts. If you are somebody who likes to do radio streaming, listening to radio via the internet, there are two places you can listen to us. You can listen to us through Radio Gold 90.5 FM or any of the radio streaming apps, or you can listen to us through Ahunto 92.3 FM. Either of those, you can get to listen to us. Now, this morning, we are talking about the outdoor for if she gets to that position. And also, we would also be moving from that one and be talking about issues in relation to the lynching of that 19-year-old woman in the north and the socio-cultural issues that are being raised, and the reaction of the security services was also in question earlier on. Now they have arrested some people in connection with it. They are trying them, but how do we address that issue comprehensively? Then we'll end with the latest reports of closure of Nigerian shops in Abosokai, and also how that would affect bilateral relations and the way citizens of the two countries treat each other. We have Ghanaians in Nigeria also working, and we have Nigerians here. If we treat them that way, what messages are we sending to the Nigerians? And so we'll be talking about that particular issue. Once again, my guest this morning, Mr. Kojo is a former chief executive of the Free Zones Board, and also Dr. Let me get the name again. I have to master the name. Dr. Mohammed Mazouk Abubakar is a lecturer at the University of Applied Management. And then Margaret Anseh, who is a deputy campaign spokesperson for the National Democratic Congress. Dr. David Percy is joining us pretty shortly, the students of history and politics. My name is Sena Nombo. So let's start with the issues having to do with the outdooring of the running mate of the National Democratic Congress. I'll start with Mr. Kojo Chumbuafo. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. I hope you're well too.
I think a lot is said about Madam Professor Sena Nombo as, and sometimes pronouncing all her titles is a bit wordy for me because I simply call her Auntie Nana. And then for me,
Mr. Chumo, give me a minute. We'll have to go on a short break so that some quick things can be done by the technical team. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Morning is an important time of the day because how you spend your morning can often tell you what kind of day you're going to have. I want you to have a great day. So start your day with me because I can guarantee a great show every weekday on Good Morning Africa right here on Pan-African Television. I will be serving some inspiration, news, business, health, newspaper review, music, and so much more. Join me, Kwame Owusu Danso on Good Morning Africa on Pan-African Television. Let's have a truly African morning. Medasi.
He has labored.
Well, welcome back from that break. Before we went on the short break, Mr. Kojo Chumboafo was on the floor starting the discussion on the outdooring Professor Nanaji and Pokwajiman. So we'll go back to him. Yeah, back to him.
yes, thank you, Sena. Like I said, the name by which I know her is Auntie Nana. Most of us who know her and are close to her in any way, shape or form, even those who were her students, call her Auntie Nana because of her affable nature and who she is. But let me just say this. I think that we have to make an effort, a conscious effort, and I make a conscious effort to decouple the fact that she's a woman from what she has been able to achieve and how she has gotten to where she's gotten to. Because if we say that we have a male-dominated society and a lady has gotten to where she has gotten to, then it speaks volumes for who she is and what she is. Because as somebody who became a PhD holder, a lecturer, an assistant professor, an associate professor, a professor, and then goes on to become the vice chancellor of the University of Cape Town, the first female vice chancellor in the history of this country. It tells you that she is not just primus inter pares, maybe she is primus. Because, you see, when people talk about who she is and what she is, many people, and it's forgiving, because many people do not understand even what she did when she was vice chancellor. Remember that vice chancellorship is a position to which your peers put you. It's a place in which your peers put you. You are not just appointed by a friendly government. Well, maybe in a Kufuor government, anything is possible. Even an auditor general's door can be locked. Even a vice chancellor who has been elected can be removed, and the MP of the area's favorite vice chancellor can be put there. That happens in a Kufuor's government. But nominally, since the days of Kwame Nkrumah, vice chancellors are elected by their peers. She was elected by her peers. She assumed the mantle to be a chief executive. So when I hear people like Oseche Mensah Bonsu, unfortunately, speak the way they spoke as to wondering how she could run this country if President Mahama was not around. She has executive experience. Managing egos on a university campus is not easy. Managing the egos of students, managing the egos of lecturers, and all that is in between is not easy. Under Professor Nana, the much vaunted idea of putting together a medical school at the University of Cape Coast came into being. We had talked about it. We wanted it to happen. She made it happen. Or it was under her button that it happened. So when I don't even want to go into her academic achievement, because that would be a waste of the time of your listeners and your viewers. Everybody knows her as Professor Nana Jinopokwajiman. Let that be enough. And then let's go to her time as the Minister for Education. We are all witness to what she did. We are all witness to the sterling achievements she made with things like TVET and all the things that she did when she was there. Today, many of the achievements and unfortunately for people like Auntie Nana and indeed President Mahama, the very people who flush them with caustic soda are the very people who stand on their achievements and enjoy their achievements. Today, what is a semblance of progress that is being exhibited within the education sector stopped when she left the place, and people are standing on her shoulders and still, saying what it is that they say so well. But today, I think that we have all seen, obviously I'm biased, okay, so forget me if you must, but you have heard the rave reviews that greeted her political introduction, the reviews that greeted that monumental speech that she gave at her outdooring. And what an outdooring was. If I wasn't there, if I had watched it on TV, the experience would never have been the same. Because I stood there and I heard a person on top of her game. She knew what she was saying. She understood what she was saying. She owned what she was saying. She didn't come and stand there and bat like an outboard motor like some people do. She had a grasp of what she was talking about. She still threw in the political jabs. And they were so deadly that those for whom it was meant didn't even see it coming. But we all knew what she was talking about. She questioned everything that is going wrong in this country today, where people's citizenship is questioned. People's patriotism is questioned by bigots and people who frankly have absolutely no business questioning people's patriotism. That you are a boorish buffoon and a brigand and a buccaneer does not mean that you can question somebody's citizenship. This is a country that we have lived in peace. Look, for those of us, I always say, for those of us who are not good students of history, and this government shows abject they show abject traits of not being good students of history. In this West African sub-region, name one country that has not suffered from civil war. One. one country. Well, I'll tell you, there are two, Benin and Ghana. Everybody else has had its fill because of artificially, and all our problems are because of artificially drawn borders by colonial masters who raped our resources, still continue to rape our resources. Now they have changed the modus operandi from brute force. Now they are doing it with intellect. But we today, we have leaders in this country who question other people's patriotism based on artificially drawn borders by colonial masters. How pathetic. But that is to be expected, because their ancestors wore tailcoats and went to England and asked the Queen, why are you getting out of Ghana? Why are you leaving your experiment? Those were their words. To them, this country and its people was an experiment, and they are still controlling, they are still continuing those madcap experiments as we speak today. So today, an MC can tell somebody that you cannot register because your handwriting looks like Togolese. My brothers and sisters, in all my life, my 51 years on this planet, I never knew there was a Sanskrit called Togolese. I never knew how Togolese people wrote. I don't know what the script looks like. I don't know whether it's hieroglyphics. I don't know how Togolese people write. Somebody should tell me how Togolese people write. And in your quest to disenfranchise Ewes in this country and Voltarians in this country, you have caused the deaths of so many people, including people around you. Everybody in that Flagstaff house has tested positive for COVID-19. Some of them we can't see. Some we can see. Some we can't exactly tell. I mean, it is the worst kept secret. The people who contracted COVID-19 that they don't want to tell us. It's up to you. For me, Professor Nana has ushered in a new milieu of politics in this country. It's a new milieu that says that we are not going to question anybody's citizenship. Every Ghanaian has a right. The tenements for being Ghanaian are well spelled out in our constitution. So we cannot and will not be subjected by people who frankly have no business. Some of them even holding passports from other countries, questioning the citizenship of our brothers and sisters in the Volta region and elsewhere, simply because they think and they have said that people do not exist in that part of this country, that they don't bring any resources to that part of this country. If Kwame Nkrumah hadn't had the vision to include the Volta region as part of Ghana, the most important resource that we have in this country, the Volta River, where would it have been? Would it not have been the subject of dispute every single day that we wake up? Would we have been able to build a Kosombo Dam and had a peace of mind that it was within our contiguous borders? What is the most important resource in this country? What is it that has given birth to any semblance of industrialization or whatever it is we do? These lights in this studio, where did they come from? Whose vision created the Ghana that we know? And yet these people will not allow us to have a peace of mind. Everywhere you turn, every time you turn, they have a new story to bamboozle and deflect what is really necessary in this country, which is development. We have spent 1.8 billion cedis on a registration exercise, which today still is unable to remove people who have registered twice. So as I speak on Monday, People are going to sit down like people checking lotto numbers, like people peeling granuts to go and find out who has registered twice. They call it deduplication. And yet we were sold this, excuse me to say, crap and nonsense about a new voters register that could do everything. As far as we heard from the EC, the new voters register could change Mago's head and put it on Sena Nombo's head and vice versa, and we wouldn't have known the difference. I could have been sitting here and become Kwesi Pratt because of the new voters ID system and wouldn't have known the difference. And yet, it cannot tell those who have the basic tenements of doing a database. Basic. We are now going to sit on tables like they used to do back in the day when your things come to the Temaport. They call the place the long room where all the customs officers were sitting and looking through everything. Even today, they don't do that. They don't do that. They use a camera to look through what you brought. The so-called what do you call it? The so-called end-all and be-all of voter registration in this country that was supposed to capture everything, including the color of people's underwear. It was not. It cannot even tell who has registered twice. So we are going to do that all over again. I mean, what kind of people are these? Auntie Nana has come and we are having a new discussion. And guess what? The very people who said President Mahama didn't know who his running mate was. When the running mate came and said, it's not here, it's him. It's not here, it's him. And so what? And then, to top it all off, someone else comes and resubmits 50 reasons why. Answer your reasons yourself. Let somebody else go on.
Thank you. Thank you. Before I come to Dr. Abubakar, before I come to you, let me just read a few messages that we're getting on Facebook. Farouk in Tamale, no, they're saying good morning. In fact, John Mahama led government to bring a robust health system to reduce maternal mortality rate, to work towards the attainment of at least 30% of all appointments going to women, to introduce the free health care plan for the aged, and to pay all locked up funds of customers of collapsed banks within a year is a welcoming news, and Ghanaians must give the NDC the power to showcase these wonderful ideas. And Thomas Sumaila Issa says MPP government must start preparing from Flagstaff House as NDC running mate is gaining momentum. Inshallah, we can't wait to take over office come December 7th. Kenji is in Sena. Please always bring Mr. Kojoki Mbafu to this program. Because if I don't hear from him, I don't feel comfortable to watch the show. Amber Yasko says Nanado is setting a bad precedence over this AG issue. And let everyone bear witness that should the future NDC government do the same, there shouldn't be any commentary on that.
No, Senator, we will not do the same. We are different from them. The people of Ghana know that we are different. We are not going to put a new lock on an attorney and an auditor general's door simply because he is about to reveal that people within our government are stealing. We are not going to do that because nobody will do that. We have run this country longer than any political party in the history of Ghana, and we never did this. And shame unto all the people who are quiet that an auditor general's door can be locked by the audit service board with Professor Duajiman in charge, and nobody has said anything. He himself, a former auditor general. So when he was a former auditor general, did anybody do that to him? Shame on them.
Federico Poco is saying, hi, Senator, greetings to you and your panel. The supposed corrupt allegations against JDM is over. The debate has begun. The supposed corrupt former president versus the incorruptible current president. Another incorruptible leadership. We witnessed PDS, boss, cash for seed, coal, and associated, etc. From this one, he sent this from Koforidwa. Noah Nini, I hope I got your name right. Says, good morning, Sena. Watching you live from Kaleo in the Upper West region. Let me use the opportunity to thank Mr. President, His Excellency Nana, for having the Ghanaian at heart. In fact, if I have the power, I will make Nana Akufo-Addo president for life. Thank you, Mr. President. We are enjoying your leadership. It's sent that from Kalio. Nasel Soa says, please, the case are more than what we are being told. A doctor friend told me that, okay. This one is from Udeduje, who says, instead of the leaders serving the citizens are the servants and the conveyors of their retaliation games. Ghana should think of Ghana before any of them. Ghana should demand a national agenda that needs to be followed religiously by any party in power and need to account to Ghanaians at any time. Auditor General should be praised and not forcefully dressed up in any party colors, because someone or people have to account to we the citizens who put them there to take care of the country. Think deeply about what is happening around and why the Auditor General's annual leave has become so important for the President to step in to make a decision. Thank you. Doc.
Thank you. Good morning to the cherished viewers of ours, and thanks for the opportunity to be here. Barakah de Salah to the Muslim community. May Allah grant us long life, good health, and abundant prosperity. Yes, the choice of Professor Nana can be analyzed from different perspectives. One can decide to look at it from the political perspective. Another can decide to look at it from the intellectual perspective. And of course, definitely we have the right to judge her by the content of her intellectualism, or to judge her by the color of her political affiliation. I have decided to judge her by the content of her of her intellectualism. And in that case, I may share a different political ideology with her, but I emphatically declare that it is the right choice. It is a reflection of our acceptance of decency in politics. It is reward for intellectualism, and we must all look at it in that case. You don't need anybody to tell you that she is a woman of integrity, an accomplished academic, a woman of international repute. And for these qualities, Ghanaians, irrespective of our political affiliations, should be ready for such a personality to occupy an important position in this country. With all due respect to politicians, it is a fact that our politics in this country is largely characterized by verbal vulgarism, a kind of indecency which is destructive to constitutionalism and the rule of law. Madame Professor Nana seems to be a source of change from indecency to decency in terms of political discourse, in terms of governance. And definitely, as a politician, she should be ready for all kinds of attacks. What I have witnessed as the first attack is that she is not an economist and therefore cannot occupy that position. I think that is a very uninformed piece of information and judgment. I think that is a reflection of our misunderstanding of dynamics of governance. Let us all understand that governance is multidimensional, multidisciplinary, and therefore you need the expertise in almost every field to be able to ensure proper governance. Permit me to say that even in governance, you need to understand the art of idiocy, because you are not just managing rational human beings. You are also managing intellectual idiots, useful idiots, useless idiots, all kinds of people. So you need to galvanize the expertise from all the fields so that you're able to ensure proper governance. She is coming from a field that is very critical to the survival of a nation and the prosperity of a nation. Very critical, very essential to governance, education. Of course, in her area of expertise, in terms of scholarship, is language. But within that confines, she has been able to rise to the highest level of academic administration. If we agree that a university is a miniature of a nation, then of course we must also conclude that she is a person who stands to enhance the quality of governance in this country. If you compare a university to a nation, you realize that the university is not just a place of learning. No, it is not just a place of intellectual training. It is also a place of moral training, a place of socialization, and whatever the university has a semblance, or whatever is prevalent in the university can also be found in governance. If you talk of the executive, the university council is there. The vice president has his or her own council. If you talk of the legislature, that is you have sometimes you have a system where the university will have people who can decide. You talk of you talk of the judiciary. The university is a place that has a kind of judiciary that implements the policies in relation to students. You have the disciplinary committee. You have all the benchmarks of governance also being witnessed in the university. And if she has been able to handle a university in a manner that is desirable to everybody, in fact, she handled the university without any iota of corruption, then of course we should expect her to also handle the nation at the highest level without any iota of corruption. She is a human being. She is more likely to change. But it is up to us to start on the note of optimism and not on the note of pessimism. And one thing characteristic, of course negative, about our politics is that we seem to judge our leaders from the note of optimism instead of, from the note of pessimism instead of from the note of optimism. Let us give her the opportunity to start. If she does not perform as we know her, then of course we can hold her responsible. But if we start by saying all kinds of negative things about her, then we are not being fair to ourselves. We are to her, and then we are not being fair to ourselves. We are only trying to justify the existing political atmosphere in this country, which is negative. I don't think we should be doing that. What we can also understand is that, and with all humility, with all due respect to the politicians, you know, our politics seems to be highly corrosive. It seems to be suffering from sanity deficiency, and that is why, and that is why I've had opportunity to describe her as the Sims, as a Sims. Yeah, take into consideration the level of insults, the level of corruption, the level of impunity, the level of partisanship.
I've actually taken that.
You understand that? Yes. So if we need someone who stands for sanity, who is a symbol of sanity, then it doesn't matter where we come from. It doesn't matter our political affiliation. We need to support her. Unless, of course, we are not interested in multi-party constitutionalism. What we should understand is that ours is not just by party or one party. Ours is multi-party politics. So we should be able to tolerate all kinds of divergent opinions, all kinds of political ideologies, instead of worshipping ideological conformism. If we do that, we are actually destroying democracy. And you know, I was making a point before Uncle came in. I said yes, and I stand by that with all respect, due respect to politicians. If you analyze our political atmosphere in this country, you agree with me that it suffers largely from sanity deficiency. And that is why I've had the occasion to describe her as a sanitizer of corona politics in this country, because she is not, I strongly believe that she is not coming to join that kind of negative politicking. I strongly believe that she has the capacity to change the nature of this of politics. But one thing is clear: she is expected to be a victim of attacks. And that expectation should regulate her, put her on an alert to be able to withstand. I don't want to mention names. I know very good politicians in this country who never knew how to insult when they did not enter politics. They have not insulted anybody. But today, they are masters of political insults. You may pardon them because they may be responding to insults, and they may be made to understand that without such a culture, you cannot survive in politics. We expect our mother, our professor, to change the dynamics. We expect her to be able to withstand all kinds of insults. We expect her to be able to ensure the change. When they go low, she must go high. When they stand for disunity, she must stand for unity. When they stand for vindictiveness, she must stand for forgiveness. When they stand for hatred, she must stand for love. When they stand for incompetence, she must stand for competence. And in that case, we expect her largely not to reduce herself to another incubator of verbal vulgarism in this country. We expect her to try as much as possible to vindicate some of us who agree with her in terms of intellectualism, not in terms of politicking. Because some of us are apolitical. But when we see an intellectual character, a character that has displayed high level of intellectualism, come into politics, then we have hope that there are instances of chances that will sanitize the political environment in this country. Let her understand that she will definitely be a victim of all kinds of attacks. And the best way is to treat all the perpetrators of such attacks with a contempt of silence. If she wants to respond to them, definitely she will be distracted, and her objective will not be achieved. We are not just looking at her as an individual. We are looking at her as an important character in the political atmosphere, in the political machinery in this country. We are now at the beginning of the campaign. Definitely we'll go to the peak of the campaign and then to the election. She has a lot to do. She has a lot to manage. She has a lot to consider. Let her consideration vindicate some of us. She should not give anybody any opportunity to rope her into that abyss of dirty politics. We should also understand one thing, and that is, once again, I don't want to use that word because the politicians are here. I don't want to use I don't want to use that word, but because let me be cautious with my diction. I mean, I don't want to use that word, but generally, we expect her to vindicate some of us, to be a national leader, not a partisan leader. Let her understand that she is using that political party as an avenue to serve the nation and not as an opportunity to serve herself or serve the interest of that political party. We expect her to contribute largely to the reduction of dirty partisanship and largely into the increase of positive nationalism. Let her ensure that partisanship should be relegated to the background and national unity in the name of democratic politics should always be upheld. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Abubakar. If you join us, you're watching the Mother World Talk Shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. Thank you very much for sticking and staying with us. A big thank you to our major radio partners on 92.3 FM. And like I indicated, we are now live in Tamale with an affiliate. Just haven't gotten the name yet. Well, I'll come to Margot shortly. Margot is a spokesperson for the campaign team of the National Democratic Congress, a deputy spokesperson. And let me read a couple of the messages you're sending to us. And this one is from Davis, and says, and I hope the president and his party are not soon going to be asked for a postponement of the elections to next year, as Trump has done in the U.S., since they can see the G&J ticket coming like a kite to push them into the bush. Thank you for sending that message. Dennis Yakuti says, I find it very strange to understand why the MPP will be wasting time on Professor Nana Jeno-Poku-Agyeman if she is that unfit. Very strange, huh? That said, whoever is in charge of Ghana today is indeed a bad case for Ghana, relative to the happenings coming on the back of the ongoing voter registration exercise. I said whoever because I'm not too sure. The President Anado, with his celebrated human rights track record, prior to becoming president, could have sat that unconcerned as some tribes are being intimidated in the registration process. Or is it the case of give a man a woman political power and it will reveal his or her real character as opined? Thank you. Let me see some more messages. Okay, Tafai Nama here says, let's first and foremost congratulate. Okay, I think I'm reading an old message. Said Jane and John have shaken the elephant family last night, and the narrative has now shifted. It is no longer about her but him. Have the MPP forgotten that when they chose Bawumia, they praised him and believed he was coming to help them with the elections? And honestly speaking, I also believe that Bawumia contributed to about 80% of the MPP winning the 2016 elections by telling the NDC that despite all Professor Jane's credibility and experience, she's not going to help us win the election. Jane and Jane. Okay, that one I can't. The other part of it, I'm not sure I can read it well. Let me come to Margot.
Sena,
welcome.
thank you. Good morning to yourself and to your cherished viewers, your listeners, and to Ghanaians. I'm privileged to be here with my seniors and with the earlier conversations that have gone on. I think majority of Ghanaians believe that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama made the obvious choice. Professor Nana Jeno-Poku-Agyeman, she's an achiever, and she has exhibited that through diverse means. Growing up, we heard people compose songs, send your girl child to school, and a woman at her age gone through the educational ladder to this level, it means she really fought hard, and it makes her an exceptional person. On the day her name was announced, the MPP had a press conference by Honorable Yabuabia Samoa and said certain unfortunate words. It didn't end there. Some of their MPs, even female MP, also came and said when they were fighting for women, Prof was not part of them. And I was wondering that a woman who has spent over 30 years in academia developing critical minds, as my earlier speaker said, managing a university, people who have ego, highly opinionated, are taught to be independent. Managing a university, it's not an easy task. So if a woman is able to rise with merit, not whom you know or by connections, to become the first female vice chancellor of a public university in Ghana, and you will hear a woman commenting that she didn't fight for women. So that the women or the ladies that she taught in school that have become role models, what was she doing there? Or Madam Osler was expecting Prof to wear gloves and get into a ring and start fighting for women. Someone who is an inspiration. Then you put that aside, the whole majority leader, Chairman Sabunsu, also was asking journalists that if John Mahama is not there, can this woman be described as the president of the republic? A majority leader whose deputy is a woman, Adwoa Safo. And I was asking myself, if Chairman Sabonsu is not there, it means that Adwoa Safo cannot preside over parliament. Was that the meaning? They were so unfortunate. But putting that aside, as soon as the outdooring program was over, with pro speech and the euphoria that came with it, the comments on Facebook and the neutrals, then quickly, then people goes back and comes to tell us that it is not her by him. I asked myself again, is this party really serious? Before her name was mentioned, they even got certain journalists to assist them, shouting on rooftop, where is your running mate? They were asking, you will go for programs when they are losing the debate, or when even the discussion is not around that. They would chip it in, where is your running mate? As if the NDC didn't have people to nominate. Finally, we bring the person. Now they are telling us it is not about her, it's about him. And I was wondering where President Mahama was when they were asking us who or where was our running mate. It has totally put them in a state of confusion. And that is what they are exhibiting right now. But we thank God for the grace and the wisdom he gave our leader and flag bearer together with the party to endorse Professor Nana Ajinopo-Kwajima. In her speech, as Doc said, she exhibited sanity, courtesy. She did not even mention anything about its political opponent. She spoke as a woman, as a leader whose focus was developing a nation. She touched on 4 thematic areas. One, by statistics, about 60% of our population in the few years will be under the age of 30 years. Meaning that the countries will carry its population, about the youth is going to take about 60%, which is majority. And we should consider how to bring the aspirations of the youth into reality and building a country as well. She furthered by saying that Ghana, education shouldn't just be about access and numbers. We should go beyond that and make sure we give our people, our wards, quality education that their future can be articulated. She further went on. She said, technical and vocational education is something that is really important to her. Sena, in this country, you will see people with enormous skills, very good at it, but because of certification, major and huge contracts will come in certain departments and ministries. Because our people don't have the required certificate to apply, we'll be here and foreigners will come and take up our jobs. We've always complained about unemployment. How do we bring meaningful jobs to our people? By investing in technical and vocational education. And the last thing, which was so touching, she said Ghana should move beyond mere patronage, connections, and whom you know. But rather, we should focus on giving people equal and fair opportunity through merit. And this is the focus or the pivot of sustainable development. If we want to build a nation, we have to make sure that our people earn it. Our students are going to write their exam. Monday, they are writing integrated science. There are already leaked questions out there because the president believes it has a manifesto promise that must be fulfilled irrespective of how it is done, and the children must succeed. So instead of training our teachers on training and development on how to teach ours for them to think on their feet, become future critical thinkers, they are rather teaching teachers how to solve past questions. This government teaching teachers how to solve past questions. And now, per the other rumors around, questions are being leaked because at all costs, a student must pass exam. How then do you develop that person to come and be a nation builder? We need people who can think on their feet. If you perform and you realize that you are an average student and you want to go beyond average, you put in much effort. Children must be proud of the certificates they carry. That is how you develop a nation. And Prof is telling us that Ghana should move beyond that. And the time to do this is now. December 7th is the beginning of this transformation. We were in this country when the senior minister, Jao Osafomafu, told us that there are no job vacancies at the public service. Few weeks or days later, he brought his 2 sons and created offices for them to occupy. When Ghanaians complained about it, he told us that his sons were the most intelligent, highly qualified candidates at the interview. And it caught me thinking, was Jao Osafomafu the board chairman for the interview? Oh, I don't know whether when you grant interviews, they arrange it. Who was first, who was second, and paste them on the notices boards. It was a clear insult to us. Instead of creating the opportunities for even your sons to also create other opportunities for the less privileged people, you have rather brought your kids for us to pay them and paying you as well. Then you tell the ordinary Ghanaian child that there are no vacant positions at the public service. This is what Prof, the John and Jane ticket is coming to do away with. We need one nation. We don't need to do whom you know. Look, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama made mention of something that the MPP has gone gaga. He said he will reduce the number of ministers drastically to use that difference to take care of assembly members, give them allowance to make sure that our community, certain things that now that you cannot be a Ghanaian with a birth and your birth certificates because they claim they were not done well. Assembly members can do this job because they live in the community with the people. An assembly member can tell you the number of people in a certain household, provided the person is in his electoral area. Under the Professor Francisca's emolument and salary reports, what a minister takes, if President Mahama is even reducing this 124 number of ministers, if he even takes 40 out of it, Ghana will save a 3.4 million every year. And this money can be channeled elsewhere. You know, John Mahama had 27 presidential staffers. Currently, Nanado has 311 presidential staffers. A presidential staffer, your salary and your emolument is equal to a deputy minister. The salary that comes with it, over 14,000, your V8, your cook, whatever, all these monies could be saved to develop this nation, make Ghana a better place, but not just for a family and friends. So Prof has brought on board something that every serious political party must look out for. She has a constituency, which is the academia, the professionals, the vulnerables, the women, the minority in society. Prof comes with all this. And if you are a political party that you really want to win elections, these are the people you target, the neutrals. And that is what Prof brings on board. John Mahama is a superstar candidate who is a people's man, but Prof is bringing her own constituency that will make the job very easy for the party and to get the ticket and develop Ghana. Our international image is destroyed. Corruption everywhere. We don't even know where the government is taking us. We are moving without direction. At a point in time, you can't even find your leaders. In the midst of crisis, the president is so confused, they don't know what to do. We need proper leadership as a nation. And therefore, I must commend again His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC for making this obvious choice. They did not just choose Prof for NDC, but they chose her for Ghana. And if the MPP will downrate her candidature and feels that now it's not her but it's him, then they will be making a mistake. She is a force to reckon with. And they know. They cannot run away with that. Dr. Baumia, was, after his education, he taught in some few schools, and his first corporate job that he had was at Bank of Ghana. He worked for 2 years, yet Nanado told us that he was coming to solve all our problems for us when he picked him in 2008. Is the MPP now telling us that the role of the vice president is irrelevant? Why is it not about her, by him? It is a team, and Prof is a team player. The NDC is moving as a force that we are going straight to the Jubilee House, and nothing can stop us because we have a solid, reasonable, respectable team. And I congratulate Prof again on her nomination. Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret Anse is a deputy campaign spokesperson for the National Democratic Congress. I'll come to Dr. Percy shortly, but let me just read a couple of your messages you're sending to us through Facebook. You see, Fisa says, good morning, Sena, and your wonderful panelists, especially Mr. Mazok, for his wonderful submission. In fact, I admire him so much for his objectivity. He's my role model. Good morning to the incoming MP for Nalerugu Gambaga constituency, Alhaji Baba Seidu Isifu. Luka Abubakar is saying good morning. The president who promised the president who promised Ghanaians the ANAS principle is today interfering with the state institution in charge of protecting the Ghanaian purse and rather institutionalizing corruption. God help Nanado and his MPP. December will soon be here, and Ghanaians will show you the exit. Some more of the messages you have been sending us. Udoduja says the only day GM's name wasn't mentioned since these people came to power was when Nana was announced as running mate. Now they are asking for policies. Judge Tamakro says, Doc used the word. Damn the politicians. They are the reason we are where we are today. Thank you. Doc.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sena. Clearly, the nomination of Professor Nana Pokwajiman has brought up a lot of excitement within the NDC and also in the country at large. But these are difficult, even extraordinary times. You're talking about carrying forward a campaign to win the heart and mind of Ghanaians so that they obtain a majority in a time of the pandemic, which creates many difficulties for the public discourse. Now, ordinarily, I mean, the fact that it has generated so much buzz reflects the fact that we are a male-dominated society. Otherwise, given her background, given her experience, exposure, the fact that she has risen to a level of managing a university, a very large public business, in terms of just the span of responsibilities and the numbers of persons who are involved. Ordinarily, no one should even raise any issues about her fitness for high public office. But such is the challenge that we have. Now, you could say that by her nomination, I mean, her nomination represents a huge statement by the flag bearer of the NDC and the party as a whole. From some angle, you could even say that it represents a major gamble, because we are talking about going along a path that we have never gone before. Okay? And I mean, there are all kinds of opinions about what makes it possible for electoral success to come. Okay. But be that as it may, there's no doubt about her qualification. People are speaking about the expectation, the hope that with her nomination we'll have more decency in our politics. Okay? But what one can also say is that clearly it has sown a lot of confusion in the MPP. Now, mind you, the principal agenda of the MPP, having won power through desperate means, is to use whatever means to retain that power. They won power through desperate means. They are going to deploy whatever means necessary, legal, illegal, criminal, to hold on to power. So this is not going to be a stroll in the park. Not at all. Not for 1 minute. And for me, that is the overarching matter that should guide all our conversations, our thinking, and our action. Because what the Ghanaian people did in electing President Nana Addo was essential to elect a despot. And he has demonstrated that amply in the last 3+ years in trying to gather all power using constitutional and unconstitutional means. Parliament is under his thumb. We know that. He controls government, of course. The courts are under his thumb. The media are under his thumb. And that is the context in which these issues must be fought and addressed. So the euphoria may be justified, but it should not dull us into thinking for 1 second that this is going to be child's play. Even I'm sure that the MPP is figuring hard after the disastrous initial response about what further ways to proceed. And so it is not surprising that now they say that, well, actually it is not her we are interested in, and that it is him. And they even suggest that the euphoria suggests that some way or the other he is inadequate. Okay. Now, in the run-up to the last election, they're very effective in demonizing the NDC candidate. Very effective. Okay? And so effective was their propaganda that even you have people who ordinarily would say that they are NDC members parroting and repeating the accusations and the charges that they normally raise. Okay. And one of the things that I see sitting from the sidelines, and I ask myself, I mean, if we have been in this country for the past 3.5 years and have been run so abysmally as it has been done by the Nanado and the NPP, and if it had happened to be the NDC and John Mahama, would he have been spared? Would anybody have spared John Mahama? Because on every occasion, they go straight for him, which is okay, because the principle is that as the head, the buck stops with you. So whatever crooked things are going on, you have ultimate responsibility, and people have a right to hold you to it. Somehow or the other, I see that NDC communicators struggle to even mention or to name or to hold the president responsible. So for instance, right now, you have a completely needless registration exercise with a very simple objective: to disenfranchise citizens. Recently, the conversation has gone down a bit, but that has always been the objective. Of course, when this thing was hatched, COVID had not surfaced. Okay? Now people are being forced, in effect, they are being held at ransom to forego their civic rights or to go through the risk of massing up in public places so that they can get their names on the register. And there are many persons who are very, very upset by this, and who are insisting that this is even more reason why they must get their names on the register, so that such criminal nonsense does never again go on in our country. You have a situation where a president is elected. They claim by close to 1 million votes plus. Now they turn around and tell us that the people who, the basis on which he was registered was illegitimate. They don't want an ECOWAS, what do you call it?
Register.
They don't want an ECOWAS electorate. They want a Ghanaian electorate. Okay. And this brings us back to the issues that were raised by the Professor Nana when she spoke about the issue of inclusion, okay, and citizenship, because we have heard many times the president himself has made that point. His senior minister has said so. Various ministers and activists in the party have said so. And give the clear impression that they consider some people non-Ghanaian. Okay? And this is a hugely divisive matter. Okay? Now, many people are not aware of this history. But for the ethnic bigots that control the government, the governing party today, they saw it as a sad day when Nkrumah and the British managed to get Transvolta Togoland to become part of the Gold Coast. Because that meant that an automatic Akan majority was not assured. And they went into mourning for a year on that account. And since then, what they've tried to do, in spite of what the Constitution says, in spite of what the law says, is to construct an ethnic party that has a national spread. Mind you, it is because people assume that because if you have a party that is national, in terms of the spread, it cannot be ethnic. It is not true. What you have in the governing party is an ethnic party, but with a national spread. That wasn't what Nkrumah intended when he brought in the avoidance of discrimination law right after independence that proscribed the formation of ethnic, religious, sectarian parties. So in spite of the law, that's what we have. And they express it at every opportunity. And it is on that basis that, for instance, someone like Tim and Zambosu can say that, oh, in their party, they cannot find a worthy guy who can be, what is it?
Vice President or President.
Right? Yes. They cannot find a worthy other. How else can you rationalize this kind of statement except from the point of view of an ethnic bigot? And these are the challenges that we are facing. Right? And it's interesting to be speaking about these matters at this time when we've managed to, as it were, erase our Republic Day and supplanted it with some fake. What was the name of the new holiday?
Founders.
What day have we named it?
Founders apostrophe after the
Founders.
S.
The apostrophe. Okay, yes.
But don't worry, it's still the day we.
It's a completely fictional thing.
And if any day.
Okay. So actually, the challenges that we face are huge. Included in those challenges is even the possible disintegration of our republic, with the assertion of authority by various kingdoms and whatever you have it. Because you cannot have a republic and have kingdoms. You cannot have both. But those are the currents that are running now. It pose a major challenge to us. And to our credit, the professor spoke to these things. Okay? He didn't have to mention anyone's name. Okay? But by merely mentioning and pointing to these matters, okay, raises the temperature, so to speak. Because, I mean, there are people who would like us not to complain. Okay? To give the semblance that everything is okay. While they go on with their diabolic agenda to ensure that nobody can displace them from power. But I think that we face a very interesting next few months. Clearly, there's potential in the ticket. The issue is how it is actualized in the next several months in connecting with the hearts and minds of the Ghanaian population so that it can make a choice that keeps us in good stead. Because as for the forces of violence, darkness and evil, they are poised to use every means, whatever, to ensure that they stay in power.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Percy. Let me, before we move on to the next issue, let me read a couple of messages. Then we'll move on to the issue of the lynching of the 90-year-old woman in the north. Benny Sapon is saying the free primary health care is going to be available for everyone at the point of need, treating people with etipae, to checking sugar levels, etc. It will help cut down on minor diseases that tend to be chronic diseases resulting to premature death. So the Abeifo will have peace of mind. Edward Amanfo is also joining us, saying like an X3, Professor Nana Jane has revealed the hidden broken fractures of our dear society and further energized to fix those broken and justified broken fractures. I listened to her carefully. I was able to fetch modern dynamics of development agenda from her speech. If we have a third-class student, okay. Why should we be to be pessimistic about globally acknowledged, processed, and refined brain and a character like Nana Jane? Thank you for that message. Samuel Amma is saying the unifying speeches of both John and Jane are Ghanaians. In fact, they showed how God-fearing and how they have been blessed with wisdom. And Sako sent that from Santa Maria. It's a Akutroto driver. Says the cockroach can never be innocent in a gathering of fowls. Baumia will always, okay. I wonder when he would also realize that the role assigned him is not the best, but for local champions. How many promises you made? Okay. How many promises did you make in 2016 election? Okay. How many of the promises you made in 2016 has been accepted to be implemented, and you are still promising? Can't you realize that your own party is fed up with your lies and unrealistic promises? Thank you. Ibrahim is watching us live. Says greetings to the panel, especially Margot. Says time to rescue Ghana from the current president. All NDC need now is unity. Thank you for those messages. Well, we'll start with the other issue having to do with the lynching of the 90-year-old woman. Of course, if you're just joining us, the Mother of All Talk Shows, Alhaji And Alhaji. We're live on Pan-African Television. We're live on Facebook, Pan-African Television. We're live on Ahunto 92.3 FM. Several affiliate radio stations across the country. A big thank you to Adam Foppa Media in Paris, in France. They are also streaming us live. A big thank you to them. This time I'm starting with Dr. Abubakar on the issue of the lynching of a 90-year-old woman. Doc.
Very unfortunate, very barbaric. Together, we must fight against that. It is a reflection of societal failure in many aspects of our lives. Failure of our appreciation of our culture, our tradition, our values. I cannot understand the sin. I still don't understand the sin. You agree with me that the sin of the murder is made up of two main characters, the perpetrator and the audience. The callous nature by which the woman was subjected to death could not be understood in any circumstance. I don't know whether those standing and watching were in a state of endorsement or state of empathy, endorsement or helplessness. And it is clear that that scene exposes our lack of appreciation of values such as sympathy, empathy, respect, and tolerance. Particularly so when it is linked to a witchcraft, something in relation to witchcraft. I am an African, and I do not stand here to condemn witchcraft. I know it is part of the African culture. But the fact that it's part of the African culture is not enough. In our evolution as a people, we Africans have practiced a lot of cultural things that today cannot be tolerated in the confines of the rule of law. For instance, ritual murder was part of our culture, but at a time we had to do away with it in response to modernity, in response to the rule of law, in response to constitutionalism, in response to decency. So it is unfortunate that somebody, an elderly person, a 90-year-old person, can be publicly subjected to a series of emotions: suspicion, accusation, torture, murder. These things should not happen in our country. I think the murder of that woman is an affront to the African civilization in the 21st century. Witchcraft, yes. We need to look at it within the confines of modernity. Necromancy, palm history, and others had been part of witchcraft culture. They had earlier been part of culture and tradition. Today, in some jurisdictions, they are viewed as areas of sciences, areas of social sciences, areas of psychological sciences. So we need to redefine witchcraft within the context of the rule of law in Ghana. We need to also look at it very well, so that we need to look at it very well in a situation that will lead us to appreciate it as something productive. If you look at what happened, you will also agree with me that it has exposed a lot of issues, from policing to security, and we need to also look at all these areas. It tells us that we have a kind of defect in our policing system, that our policing is not up to the needs of modern society. The issue surrounding the whole matter is that the police at that place refused or were reluctant to act until it assumed a national dimension. Then they went into action. They still have the opportunity to act. And the arrest of the arrest of the chief perpetrator should not be the end of the issue. It should rather be the beginning of the journey to justice for the woman. Then again, you agree with me that some of us try to worship lawlessness. Lawlessness in the sense that the thing took place, that nonsense, with all due respect, pardon my words, took place in daylight. And we allow such things to happen in a community. And I think this is an insult to all of us. This should not happen. It brings to light the need for all of us to re-examine our culture. Culture, we are told by scholars, is not static, it's dynamic. It responds to the challenges of contemporary society. And if we have started to be governed by the rule of law, to be governed by democratic constitutionalism, then whatever culture we practice must respond to that system of governance. This is not to say that we will throw away our culture and go for anybody's culture. In fact, civilization or civility is nobody's culture. It's the culture of humanity. And we all belong to humanity. What I am trying to say is that in addressing the cultural defects, let us be mindful of what political sciences and scientists and sociologists call cultural imperialism. Let us not allow any external culture to override ours. But for us to ensure that no external culture overrides ours, we must have a responsibility to sanitize our own culture. And this brings to the issue of the treatment, state response to witchcraft in this country. The witch comes, with all humility, are a reflection of the state glorification of an illegality. Complete illegality. If you look at it from an angle, you will agree with me that it is not different from incarceration. It is something, even though owners which comes and make them homes for the elderly, welfare homes for the elderly, because all the inmates are vulnerable, and if they are, then they become legitimate beneficiary of the welfare initiatives of the government. Whoever is ruling and whatever government will come next should take it into consideration that the issue has been so much entrenched. I'm referring to the issue of the witch camps. That issue has been so much entrenched that immediate disbandment may not be a solution. The government should initiate measures by which these camps will be taken over and made homes with government sponsorship and protection. If they are left in the hands of individuals who hide behind sanctuary argument, then definitely they will continue to be places of torture, mental torture, psychological torture, and that will not be in the interest of the Republic of Ghana. Let us understand that we belong to the Committee of Civilized Nations, and we should not do anything that questions our level of civilization. Back to the police. The police have made, as I have blamed them, I think I need to commend them. I need to commend them because somebody, in relation to the perpetration of that heinous crime or alleged heinous crime has been arrested. The arrest is not enough. Proper investigation should be conducted. Proper trial should be conducted. And we are not even condemning that person. We need the rule of law and justice to take place. We also sympathize with that person. The person might be acting on ignorance. We want that person to be also given the proper trial. The person should be given fair trial, all the necessary tools she needs to stand before a court of competent jurisdiction for a fair trial. And for us to look at it holistically, we also want to call for public support. Public support in this case will not be limited to government. I have mentioned one way by which government can sanitize that environment, and to agree to allow witch camps to operate is to tell the operators that witchcraft itself, whatever manner it is, whatever form it is acceptable within the confines of the law. That is unfortunate. One thing we must also consider in our collective solution to that issue is education. In this case, multidimensional education. One, at the local level, the traditional authorities should be able to educate the people to understand very well the nature of culture and the need for contemporary culture to respond to the rule of law. Beyond the local level, civic education should be properly handled. People do not understand their civic rights and civic responsibilities within the context of culture and tradition. I think the National Commission on Civic Education has a duty. It should not be urban-based. It should go to the various communities, the various villages, to educate people on the need to understand their civic responsibilities and civic obligations, their civic rights, their constitutional obligations, their civic freedoms. They should be able to understand, the people at that level should be able to understand these things very well. Beyond that, the man and woman on the pulpit, the clergy, the imam, also have a duty to play. These people have larger audiences, and therefore they must be able to understand the issue of witchcraft as something fundamental, and therefore should be subject of education on their platforms. I believe that no civilized religion will accept this kind of incivility. And if we are dealing with so many religions in this country, in fact, Ghana is a multi-religious community, in spite of its secularism at the formal level. I believe that religious people should convince the world that there is a kind of symbiosis between religion and governance. And the fact that our national anthem itself starts with the sentence, "God bless our homeland, Ghana," tells us that religion finds expression in our governance, in spite of our status as a secular democratic republic. The religious leaders have a role to play. They must educate people. They must use this as an opportunity to change society. Today, you and I know what is happening in America in relation to racial injustice. The death of George Floyd has rekindled the need for racial justice to prevail in America. Let the death of this woman be a foundation for us to holistically solve the problems associated with witchcraft.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doc. Magdo Adalaje is saying the nomination of Professor Jane is like sending MPP surrogates opium. Anytime they get the opportunity to talk about her, they speak as if they don't know what to say. John and Jane will rescue Ghana. And also, there's one coming from Kwesi in the UK, who says, Sena, I would like to plead with the NDC election team to remain focused on the registration numbers across the region. And again, I must say the NDC should put their focus on Ropa gerrymandering by Nana Akufo-Addo. Sena, NDC should focus on the monster in the room and stop chasing MPP diversional propaganda, or else they continue to plunder the state coffers. They have IT guys paid with state resources constantly busy throwing in propaganda on Mahama to divert attention. The NDC campaign team should please study the media space in Ghana and stay firm with their campaign strategy. Another will not exit easily. So NDC should take note and carry their own effective niche medium to the Ghanaian voter. We need to stop this type of Gestapo rules by this government of Ghanaians.
Yes, thank you very much. You see, as unfortunate as what happened in Kafaba is, you cannot separate it from the state of lawlessness that is in this country. You see, when you are in a home and the patriarch of the home himself is an armed robber, and every night before he goes out to rob, the matriarch of the home prays for the success of his venture, what do you expect the children in that home to become? What happened in that village? Let me repeat for emphasis. It's a reflection of the lawlessness in this country and in our society. When it was going on, somebody was filming it, wasn't he? Whoever filmed it stood by and filmed a 90-year-old woman being beaten mercilessly by, excuse me to say, children as young as 25 years old, that she was a witch. What stopped the troop of troubadours who were egging them on to call the police? The same phones that were being used to film would easily have called the police, and if there was a single policeman who came on the scene, I bet you we wouldn't be singing this dirge for this old woman. You know my pain? My biggest pain? What is the likelihood that a female born in that part of Ghana grows to be 90 years old? What is the probability? She gets to the ripe old age of 90. And children, including a 25-year-old grandchild of hers, whips her to death. But in this country, you know what will happen? Nothing. Where are the perpetrators of the murder? Or where are the people who murdered Major Mahama? Where are they?
They've been tried.
What has happened to the case? How long ago? Has a cockroach been jailed for it? Has a fly been jailed for it? You see, I may come across, and I'm going to say this with all honesty, I may come across as being overly sentimental on this matter. You know, I was privileged to have both my maternal and paternal grandmothers live to ripe old ages. My paternal grandmother lived, she was almost 90. My maternal grandmother died when she was 92. So I had the privilege of seeing them, learning from them. Many people who know me and know my late grandmother, my paternal grandmother, because I was named after her, I have a mouth like she did. You know, it is unbelievable that in 2020, the 21st century, in this age of WhatsApp, in this age of Facebook, in this age of mobile telephones, in this age of video conferencing, in this age of Zoom, we can flog a 90-year-old woman without any empathy whatsoever until she dies. As we speak, correct me if I'm wrong, but that fetish priestess hasn't been arrested yet. Am I lying? She hasn't been.
I think she's on the run. Yeah.
People know where she is. You see, this is the state of lawlessness that I'm talking about. People know where she is. But for the sake of whatever it is they believe in, they are not going to give her away. And I bet you, but for the president rushing there to go and cry the crocodile tears, nobody would have been arrested. Does it have to take the president of this republic to instruct the police to do their work? This is what is going on in this country. We live in a country where people go and assault a regional security director, coordinator, in his office, with the police standing by and watching. In fact, at certain point in time, the police were begging those morons to stop at the office of the regional security directorate. And then when they were arrested and taken to court, they assaulted the judge, a pregnant judge. And then an NPP MP orders that they should simply be asked to beg and fined. And that's exactly what happened. But we forget that when we do that, you are empowering other people to continue other kinds of crimes. The people who kidnapped those Canadian women, were they not freed? What happened to that case? So why are you surprised when people catch a 90-year-old woman and flog her to death? Why are you surprised? Why are we shocked? Because we live in a country where a member of parliament can go to a registration center, let off, per her own words, let off volleys of gunshots, and senior officials of the political party say that she only shot in the air and God hasn't complained. She shot in the air and God hasn't complained. And these are people who own and operate radio stations and TV stations in this country. So what are we learning? The little children, the adolescents and the teenagers who tune into those TV stations and radio stations, what do you think they are learning? That it is okay to shoot in the air because God hasn't complained. God hasn't suffered gunshots. When you shot in the air, they didn't hear God say Ajay. So therefore, it is okay. So the lawlessness, and excuse me to say, the foolishness that is going on in this country has a grandfather. And we all know who the grandfather of lawlessness in this country is. When things happen, instead of applying the rule of law and letting the people who need to protect us simply do their job and protect us. We don't do it. We've all seen videos of a party foot soldier pulling a pistol on the bodyguard of a member of parliament, a policeman who was sitting down. Right? We all know who that person is. Why is he still walking around? And you see, all you need to do to look at, if you looked at that video, was that the gentleman doesn't even know how to handle the sidearm he was holding, because he had his finger on the trigger. So anything that came laterally, that, you know, happened maybe precipitously, he would have fired. Maybe without even wanting to do so, you have killed somebody. He had his finger on the trigger. We all saw it. Has he been arrested? No. Why? Because he's an MPP party foot soldier. We were in this country when a policeman, a superintendent of police, who was working at the Flagstaff House, was set upon and beaten up by these same people. Up to today, nothing has happened. But you know what happened? They rather went to look for the person who shot the video and put it in the public domain. That is the person who was arrested. And yet, you see, the people who should speak, the pastors, the Catholic Bishops' Conference, the Methodist hymn book people, the Presbyterian book depot people, all of them are quiet. Why are they quiet? Because their favorite political party is in power. Right? I heard the other day, the presiding, no, sorry, one of the senior bishops in the Methodist Church, writing a whole treatise condemning political violence and talking about all kinds of bull crap. Excuse me to say. You knew what you wanted to say. Be a man. Have balls in between your legs and say exactly what you wanted to say. Because the NDC has not been and has not been interested, has not been party to any of this violence that is going on. Indeed, within the MPP, the violence is upon themselves. Remember what happened in Kumasi? These are people who went and carried coronavirus. They brought it to this country. They have shared it nicely. They have got it. Some of them have died. They have killed enough of our people. Look, the indiscipline is all rife. We know who is perpetrating the indiscipline. We know who are perpetrating the lawlessness. And the people who should speak should not wait and then come and brush all of us with that nasty broad brush that they spread all around. The pitfall that they spread around. And when you say it, they say, oh, Kojo Chumbafu, you like insulting pastors. Have I insulted anybody while I'm sitting here? But if you are not doing the right thing, we can't talk. Only a few people have been bold enough to call this government to their lawless. But you see, if you know the antecedents of this tradition, lawlessness is their hallmark. Let's go back to the Amatimehu days, where it was not unforeseen to catch a pregnant woman and use a pestle to teach her where power lies in the nether regions. These are people who said all kinds of things. Today, they say you're GMI. So they can do whatever they want. Imagine, cast your mind back to 2016, that a member of parliament in John Mahama's administration goes to stand at a registration center. First of all, she told a few lies. That She got there at dawn and therefore didn't have a police detail. Who registers people at dawn? I guess. Who registers people at dawn? The registration officers, are they there at dawn? So she let off gun salvos. And she's unaware of the sections of the criminal law in this country that makes discharging a firearm where people are a crime. And so after public pressure, she swaggers into the police station at Cape Coast and is immediately bailed. Lands there with 3 Land Cruisers and a bevy of idiots following her. Then juxtapose that against an NDC parliamentary candidate who tells a policeman, you are the cause of all the problems here. He is arrested and arraigned in front of a judge within 2 hours. 2 hours, 120 minutes, his case was ready. Do we have that kind of swift justice in this country? Even in 1979, when people were keep finding new ways of getting the collection. Because right now, a problem. But please keep this modus operandi that you have kept during the Kufuor administration, where you see nothing, you hear nothing, you say nothing, you observe nothing. It's wonderful. Let's keep on keeping on like we're. And as the military say, as you were, soldier, as you were.
Thank you, Kojo Chumrafo. And let me read a message from Komla Genya in Abuja, who says, unfortunate as killing of the old woman is, the killing of a 25-year young man silenced by MPP tax should have received same level of wide condemnation. And we're just talking about whether or not the lady at the center of this whole issue was arrested. I'm reading a story that was posted by Joy News at 4:29 p.m. yesterday. And the story is headlines: I was possessed and unaware. I was torturing my grandma to death. Lady who whipped a Kia Dente. So it says that Latifa Abumaye, the lady captured in a viral video whipping the 90-year-old, says she was possessed and did not know she was torturing her grandmother. The 25-year-old told the Salaga Divisional Police Headquarters, who arrested her in KJ Ubato, a fishing community, that she was unaware of what she was doing. Dr. Percy.
Yeah, but just before Dr. I'm talking about the fetish priestess who was brought in to conduct that exorcism has not been found.
I think she is the one.
No.
I think she is the one.
Is different.
No, this one is the one who whipped the woman. But the fetish priestess who came to conduct the exorcism herself is still missing.
Okay, I think we'll have to. Yeah.
And you know, maybe we really should think about bringing back the death penalty for stuff like this. And it will be a good deterrent. We can't keep on going on like this.
Dr. Percy.
Yeah, thank you very much. Everywhere people act on the basis of what they believe. In this case, we are talking about I'll call it mob action. Okay, and the accusation or the charge is that someone was accused of witchcraft. Okay, and on that basis, they proceeded to attack her, and as a result of which she died. Now, so you're dealing with belief systems, superstition, religion, call it what you wish. But basically, it's odd that in this day and age, such a thing should happen at all. But you know, we are dealing with this thing against a background of a long history of inaction, even abdication by the state. Okay. There are many parts of this country where the state is a remote and ineffective presence. Many parts of this country, the state is remote, is ineffective. And for whatever reason, people have come to believe that they cannot rely on it to deal with the issues. Okay. So on the face of it, it's a simple matter of people breaking the law. Okay. Now, there have been many instances of lynchings, mob actions that have resulted in deaths that have not been punished. Okay. And if it happens once, twice, and becomes established, that look, as for this one, you'll be wasting your time in relying on the state, then people would exact whatever they believe is justice according to their understanding. And that's really the nub of the problem. Okay? And whether it is violence in the context of the ongoing registration directed at scaring people, or for whatever reason, people are talking about hoodlums invading a public office, invading a court. Okay, you have the not too long ago a member of parliament, a minister of state, going to a public place, letting off a firearm, no action. I mean, we could spend the whole day just going through examples of this. In every case, it's a matter of the law enforcement not working. And when it becomes established that the state is ineffective, disinterested, or will not do the needful, then people will take the law into their hands. It's really that simple. But you see, you're also dealing with belief systems. And not just in the north of Ghana, but in many parts of our country, there are long-held or deeply held beliefs. Okay. Like I said, you could put them in the realm of superstition or religion. To me, they are one and the same. It's a body of beliefs that is not tested by science, but people believe all the same. And that is what guides their actions. But the point of departure is to treat it as criminal activity, to fish out the persons and to deal with them. And if people get to know that on every occasion, as sure as day follows night, the state will act and people will be fished out and punished. You go a very long way in arresting these matters. There's really no other remedy. Then we can also then deal with the more time-consuming business of people's belief systems. But you know, not just in this area. And I'm very conscious of some of the points that I've made about quote-unquote politicians. Politicians are not a special breed of people. And politics is necessary in the public space to govern how we relate to each other. And to that extent, every person living is affected by and touched by politics. It is not a special preserve of any particular group of people. Whatever happens in public space touches and affects all of us. Okay? But you have long-standing belief systems that need to be addressed. That we must act on the basis of knowledge, of science. But where there's no knowledge, where there's the absence of science, then what I'll call, broadly speaking, superstition holds sway. Okay? But the real issue is that, like I said, to start to deal with this problem means to guarantee to every citizen, regardless of where they are in this country, that the law works in the same way and the law would follow in due course. If it becomes established that you can do this thing and get away with it, then that is precisely what people will do. In all the various instances in this past several weeks, whether the case of the MP, Minister of State, or the tax in Kumasi, whatever it is. So but we don't need to bury this point at all. People should know and believe and feel that the state is present, is interested, and it works quickly and assuredly in dealing with issues that people have. Then people will resort to that. Otherwise, they will resort to their own quick and handy methods. And we'll be here next week or 2 weeks from now talking about another such instance. We know what to do.
Doc, thank you. Thank you. Well, I just got a message from a journalist working in the northern region. He said he's following the case. Yes, he confirms that the soothsayer has not been arrested. In fact, if you read the story to a certain portion, she explains how the woman, I don't know how to call her, the one was captured whipping the lady, said something interesting about how she got involved. She said some men had caught her forcefully and smeared a powdery substance on her face prior to the incident. So she said she was possessed during the period because of that powdery substance that was smeared on her face. There's this one. There's no history in the world that has built its society on lies. Yet we have a government under Nana Akufo-Addo that has continued perpetuated lies on the economy, that has not seen food on the table. Economic decisions must go beyond lies. That's Charles Cardinal. Thank you for that message. Angelo Kojofiagbe says, Sena, tell Mr. Kojochumba the NDC is coming back and we are going to pay back MPP in double folds. We are coming to restore the dignity of Ghana back, and the best way to do that is to pay the MPP back carefully. Says, Sena, ask Mr. Chumbuafo if he knows how he feels to be tagged as a foreigner in your own country. Abani de Mahamafa, and we are going to pay them big time. That's the message. Well, let me read one last message from Madam Georgina Tamakolo on Facebook, who says, Doctor, the MPP has gone beyond classifying people as non-Ghanaians by their names. They are now deciphering handwriting. Most annoyingly, you can't register if you bear a certain name and live in an Akan area. whereas accounts are not barred from registering in non-account areas, even in the Volta and Oti regions. Indeed, DH belongs to a certain group of people. Very soon, there will be a law against intermarriage, so there won't be mixed breed in account areas.
You shouldn't worry about that. Some of the very people, and I don't want to mention names, of the very people who claim to have the 87% resources, their mothers are from the Volta region. I won't mention names, they know themselves.
Well,
Sena, that Thursday was a very sad day where the late Mariama Akuadenta was lynched to death. It was a very sad day. And it's a shame that in this modern day and age, such things are still happening in our communities. My seniors have already spoken about how lawlessness has become the order of the day in this country. But I will take it from the point of development. From the sources that we've read, including FM, 3 News, TV3 and all that, they said the chief, who is called Yaya, invited the soothsayer in person of Fati to come and give them reasons why the Kafaba community is underdeveloped. And this Fati, who is the soothsayer, that is her job. She's been doing it in other communities. So she was specially given an invitation to come because the chief wants to know why his community is not developed. So the Fati came to Gonja East municipality and went to the Kafaba and found Akuadenta as the reason why the Kafaba community is not developed. People just stood and watched her being tortured to death. And these things have been happening. It's just by the special grace of God that now it has come to the public because this woman died in the course of their action. There were people standing there watching, people participated. And you know, we have voted for unit committee members. We voted for assembly members. We voted for members of parliament. We voted for president. Unfortunately, the Gonja East municipality, the member of parliament doubles up as the regional minister of the Savannah region. So where the act is being perpetrated, its son, the soil, its son is the regional minister, not just the member of parliament. Yet the chief, Salifu Yaya, is calling a soothsayer to come and tell them why the community is not developed. Are we going forward or we are moving backwards? He couldn't talk to the municipal chief executive. He couldn't talk to the assembly member, the MP, the regional minister. Yet he calls a soothsayer. And you know, most of these women, when they are aging, there are menopausal symptoms where you intend to forget a lot. You sweat even in bed. Certain symptoms that if one is not really, you don't understand the medical or the symptoms, you might think something is, you know, really happening to the person. And some causes are dementia. You are lost in thoughts. You don't have your sense of judgment to get. There are times that you go and meet an old person. There is food in a bowl right in front of the person, and as soon as he or she sees you, she starts crying that I haven't eaten the whole day. Dementia. Forgetfulness. So if you are with an old lady who is behaving this way, and you think this is witchcraft. Meanwhile, the real witches are there. Someone who is having a medical challenge, instead of seeking help, and because whether it's their heritage or it's a cultural thing, the women are so scared that if you don't admit that you are a witch, you'll be beat. So they, as soon as they start beating them, they accept that they are witches, so that they will have their peace of mind at the camp. NGOs traveled to the northern regions and saw these situations and decided to get them shelter, because most of the times they are sacked from their homes, you know, they are victimized, and got them shelter. And as usual with NGOs, they have it is a project. So as soon as their program is ended, they leave. And now those places have become camps that they just, as soon as they accuse you, accept that you are a witch. If you accept, they go and dump you there. I remember in the ex-Wa Muhammad's administration, together with Nano later, the then minister for gender, she worked so hard to get rid of what is happening now. I don't know the direction of this current government, because I haven't heard anything from the Minister Cynthia Morrison. I think she's busy campaigning, or she was busy sharing food, over 54 million that they used to give to, you know, whilst these things are happening. And the MP was there, the municipal chief executive who is in charge of music, the chairperson of security in the municipality. You sat down for the president to talk before the IGP sent people to go and look out for the perpetrators. Are we serious as a country? So we did look at when the president spoke. The thing happened on the 27th. The president spoke 4 days after. So imagine the Fati, the self-styled soothsayer had traveled to other communities and done the same thing to other people. Yeah. So far they've arrested one Latifa, a 33-year-old woman. And 5 chiefs have also gone to report themselves to the police, and they've charged them for cause. They will be appearing in court on the 20th of August. And the other 5 people who were put before courts on Thursday. And what is so surprising, people are covering up. These recent 5 elders who went to Damango to go and report themselves to the police were telling them that the chief is not aware, and that when the woman came, the chief asked them to stop, and the youth didn't listen to the chief. There are other testimonies, even by a retired police officer, that these things happens under or with the authority of the chiefs. If a chief is looking for development, is it in old women? Why did we vote for unit committee members? Why did we vote for assembly members? We have a municipal chief executive. It is so barbaric and so shameful that the MP for the area, Adams Brima, is the regional minister. We have voted for people who came to sweet talk us that they are going to build dams in villages for us. They are going to give us factories. You think the youth had the Gonja East district had their factory working, the youth will be standing there watching this. Where are the dams? This government has failed us. And I think hers should roll. Because I can't imagine a member of parliament who is also the regional minister, and this thing happened, we had a municipal chief executive in charge of music, then the president had to speak for the IGP to act. We don't value lives. We don't. And I think we really need education. Our people must know the development agents. If a chief is looking for development, he should know where to go. A 90-year-old woman has sat on the destiny of a village, and she herself couldn't use that witchcraft or the charm to enrich herself. And she was so vulnerable that when they were touching her, she was crying for help. Someone who has powers to put the destiny of a village in her pocket. couldn't save herself. What kind of logic is this? It's so barbaric. Our leaders should be responsible for once. This is inhumane. It should be condemned, and it shouldn't happen again. Out of a tip-off, they found this 33-year-old man. I think we should all get involved and get the soothsayer. Well, there are certain places that they said when they will give you some concoction to drink, then you start saying certain things. At a point in time, they gave one to the witch catcher herself, and she was even doing worse than the witches themselves. Why should we live under this Donald Trump century and we are still doing this? It's so backward. And I will plead with the people. And it is not a problem of the North. In 2010, because out of religion or something, a pastor accused a 75-year-old woman of being a witch at Tema, site 15, in a committee 1, 2010. The woman was burnt. Please, we need to up our game as a country, and the president must put his money where his mouth is. He promised to develop. He promised dams. He went up north, gave them sweet talks. And some were convinced, even though I wasn't convinced, because you could see through Nana Addo clearly. Some were convinced and voted for him. Then look at what is happening to us. And I will plead that we all come together. I think the police put 2,000 bounty on the people who can help them find them. And a private person has added 5,000, making 7,000. And private individuals who could also help. We shouldn't wait till the situations come worse before we assist. I think we should all come together. Ghana is what we all have, and this is so backward, and it must be condemned. But the responsibility lies with the government.
Thank you. I'll come back to you. Because I'll be going around this way. Just 2 minutes comments each on the issue of the Nigerian shops being closed. Micah Flu is saying the EC says it has found duplicates in the registration and is about to clean them up. This is a story you tell to people who don't know how biometric systems work. A properly functioning biometric system will clean itself up. There won't be duplicates. And that's a credit to Kofi Bento. And then Micah Flo continues to say, God created us so unique that no two human beings on the planet Earth can have the same fingerprints. Are these the equipments and systems of which we spent over $100 million US? Well, like I said, I'm starting from you, Margot, once again. 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, briefly.
I heard the Nigerian Association of Traders, their president, I can't pronounce the name very well, but the other name is Inaji, calling all die be die, and that enough is enough. And I've also heard the Ghana Trade Association, their president, who I think Dr. Joseph Obeng. What they are doing is, that is what the law says, that if you're a foreigner, you're not supposed to engage in retail trade. And there have been several committees that has gone round that over 90% of the Nigerians who have shops around do not have the actual documentation to operate. So I think they should sit at a round table. We are brothers, we are neighbors. We have other people outside. We have Ghanaians in Nigeria who are also trading. And we don't want it to go beyond a level that we don't expect. So I think that I heard Yofi Grant that either the laws are changed or we enforce the law. Whatever the law says, if we are going to enforce it, we should do it. If we are changing the laws, I think we should come to a round table and have a tete-a-tete and agree on something so that all this noise will go away. We are one people and we expect peace. We are Nigerian brothers. We are friends. So the government, and you see, when you talk about this government, Nana Addo's government is a whole mess. They don't know what to do because this thing, it's happening in Swami, Abosokai, Dankwasek. What is happening? Where is the leadership? This is where we must see leadership at play. So I think we really have to sit down and agree and live in peace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Doc.
It is unfortunate that we are witnessing what I observe as a clash between economic sovereignty and bilateral relations. This clash must be properly handled. Ghana and Nigeria are the largest economies in the West African sub-region. Any fight between the two countries in relation to economic survival should not be in the interest of any. Let me also say that, yes, it is a law, and we are referring to the 1994 Promotion Investment Act. That is a law. But let us also be mindful that not everything legal is rational. Anytime at all we realize that something legal is not rational, then we must assume a responsibility to correct it. Let us also understand that in our dealings with each other, we must be aware of the ECOWAS protocols, the AU protocols, and the economic laws of the two countries. It is a matter of protecting our sovereignty. But in a modern society, where sovereignty systematically succumbs to globalization, we should also be mindful of our foreign policy. And the best we can do is to ensure cordiality between Nigeria and Ghana.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Doc. Before I come to Kojo, this one is Sena Nombo. The president and MPP once again think they can politicize the killing of 90-year Ekwa Dente by establishing a foundation in her honor. It won't wash. May her soul rest in perfect peace until justice is obtained for her. That's from David Sena.
Thank you very much. And I echo the words of David Sena. We don't need yet another foundation for yet another crock of crap from this president. What we need is for the lawlessness to stop. His own mother lived to a very ripe old age. I don't think that he would have been happy for what happened to the 90-year-old lady to happen to his mother. So what Ghanaians need is for the crock of crap and nonsense to end. That is the hallmark of this government. What I expected to hear from him is that from today, all which comes should be banned. That is what I want, because they exist all over the country. It's not just the north. We have to look at things like trocosi again. We have to have a real look at things like female genital mutilation, because it is going on. And those are the basis and the hallmark. How many men have been called witches and beaten? How many men? Has anybody ever heard of a man being labeled a witch and being beaten? Why does it always have to be the women? And like Margot said, if indeed a woman who is supposed to be sitting upon the development of a whole community could be crying and begging for her life, why didn't she use those powers to escape the beating? What is wrong with these people? Let me just briefly go on to this matter of the Nigerian shops. You see, throughout the ages in this country, and once again I go to the artificial drawing of our borders by colonialists, Ghanaians and Nigerians have lived in peace. Of course, that was before somebody came and decided that some people don't look like Ghanaians, so they should go home. So they were bussed and carted back to Nigeria. Some people stole their property. Unfortunately today, the direct descendants of those people are in power today. But we all know that it elicited a swift, response in 1981 when Shehu Shagari sent Ghanaians back home. This current president knows a whole lot about disenfranchising citizenry. His father did it. He is doing it now in the name of whatever it is that he thinks he is doing. So they are experts at it. But let us not put ourselves in a position where the Nigerians respond, because there are a lot of Ghanaians in Nigeria. And Nigerians are not shy to respond. We have straddled that law, straddled it, of what is right and what is wrong as to who trades and who doesn't trade in this country for a long time. People will migrate to come and trade. We all know that in West Africa, certain groups of indigenes migrate. Theirs is to trade. Let us make sure we get it right. I've been a chief executive of the free zones before, so I know what I'm talking about. We need investment in this country, and that investment doesn't only come from Ghana. Nigeria is our biggest trading partner. For those who don't know, forget about those who come and bring us rice with handshakes on it. Nigerians are our best trading, they are our biggest and best trading partners. Let us understand what those things represent. I am not saying that everything that has happened is right, because the Nigerians have not respected ECOWAS trade, the ETLS protocol. But it's a discussion. It is a discussion. It has always been a discussion. Ghanaians and Nigerians have always lived in peace. Let nobody do anything to solicit and elicit votes at this time from any group of persons that will end up in a swift retaliation from the Nigerians. That is my 2 cents worth. Thank you.
Look, basically you have a conflict between the ECOWAS arrangement of a common economic space that allows the free movement of goods and persons, coming into conflict with national laws. Clearly requires a conversation amongst the ECOWAS leaders. Of course, there are also problems in other jurisdictions. Okay. So the question is, how do you reconcile this common economic space, which must necessarily be governed by the same set of laws? Okay. And when they come up against national legal regimes. Now, the difficulty is that our president, our government has not shown any interest, at least publicly, in dealing with this thing head on. Mind you, the leadership of the groups that are agitating here are people they will count among their core support. And it says, so that they're doing a calculus. They don't want to go against them. And so this thing will be allowed to fester. I don't know in which direction it will go. It is difficult to say, because far from taking this thing lying down, it looks like the Nigerian business people are also mobilizing. Okay? I was surprised to learn that, for instance, that they have gone several weeks, 3 months, when their shops have been closed. Okay? Even before COVID. And it's difficult to believe that such a thing can be allowed to fester. But that's what is happening. But you see, this thing touches something we were speaking about earlier, and this what looks like a neat division of labor between leaders who have no vision, no programs for dealing with the real problems of our people, and all manner of crooked people, charlatans, prophets, call them what you will, selling false solutions, false hope. And I mean, this, by far one of the biggest industries, the fastest growing industries in our country. Every Sunday, they're full. But it's not even every Sunday. Round the week, offering false solutions, false hope, and there appears to be a tidy division of labor. So you have on the one hand a politics that does not address their real problems, and the people offering solutions, false solutions. Okay, some of the solutions include making generous donations to the men of God. And if your miracle doesn't come, maybe it's because your donations are not
generous enough,
large enough. But this is part of the national architecture that we have put up that gets in the way of dealing with our issues.
Okay.
I mean, Nkrumah made this fundamental statement that in everything, politics must lead. But if the politics itself is dysfunctional, then you have situations like what we keep talking about.
Okay. Doc, unfortunately, we have to leave it here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Percy. Let me end with this message. And I think the Gambaga witch camp and any witch camp should be disbanded to stop the institutionalization of witchcraft. Government should build nursing homes to keep the aged and protect them as is done in the U.S. All those witchcrafts are perpetrators on because of poverty. Yeah. Women in those parts of the country are property to their husbands and their family, and for that matter, lose everything they work for in their entire lives and become a burden on their family. And for that matter, getting rid of her is by naming her, which I think that's the proposal was made by Dr. Abubakar. But thank you very much for making time to listen and watch the program today. We're live on Pan-African Television here from Abelinkpe. We're also live on Ahunto 92.3 FM. And we're live on several affiliate radio stations across the country. Global 105.1 is one of them. And also our new partners in the Yendi. I'll try and get you the name of that radio station. We're live on Facebook. A big thank you to you for joining us on Facebook. Before I go, this is one from Angelo Kojefebo, who says, I am a businessman. I don't agree with the behavior of my Ghanaian brother. Business is a competition. Let's respect Nigerians. They are good business people. Like Lebanese, Chinese, and other white guys are doing the same things. They are blaming Nigerians for. I was joined in the studio today by Dr. David Percy, who is a student of history and politics, and Mr. Kojo Chumboafo, who is a former chief executive of the Ghana Free Zones Board. Dr. Mohammed Mazouk Abubakar. I got the name right. Yes. So I'm trying to memorize the name.
I'll change that botanical name.
No, I'll get it. I'll get it. I always get it. It's just that this is the first time we're meeting. So that's, I'm fine to call memories. But thank you, Doc, for speaking to us. He's a lecturer at the University of Applied Management. And then we are privileged to have Margot today in the studios. Margaret Ansah, who is a deputy communications spokesperson. Deputy spokesperson for the national campaign team of the National Democratic Congress. A pleasure having her. We are hoping to have her once again. Very busy woman. It's taken a long time for us to get her into the studios. We'll get her here again. Well, before we go, I'd like to say a happy belated birthday to Elikem Kotoko. Yesterday was his birthday. A happy belated birthday to you, and also a happy birthday to Isabella Kea Jakwa. Happy birthday. And then yesterday was Eid al-Adha. And so a Barakah de Salah to our Muslim brothers, especially to especially to my producer Tijani Badamasi. Yeah. Okay, I also understand Nathaniel Cranton's birthday is today. So happy birthday to him. And thank you, a big thank you to the team here at Pan African TV. Always wonderful working with the team. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and then enjoy the week. We are back same time next Saturday, God willing. In the meantime, don't forget the COVID-19 protocols.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer and the champion.